All righty. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's episode of Roundabout Sports, presented by Interstate 70 Sports Media, where our passion is our profession. It is an amazing May 31st, folks. We are right on the verge of summer. I'm the maestro, Jeremy Carp. Alongside me, somebody who's enjoying summer right now, the
I
lovely
am.
Babs.
It is
Babs,
beautiful. It is beautiful out here. That's why I am outside enjoying the weather.
I was gonna say it is beautiful outside. I got the windows open and everything. It's been nothing but sunshine the past few weeks, so I will
It
gladly take
has.
it.
Me
Uh,
too. I will gladly take that over storms any day.
Absolutely. And as we come to the close of the month of May, I want to kick things off this evening by talking about what's been going on with the Cardinals. Um, so obviously, historically bad April. You know, they finished 10-24 within their first 34 games. So it was something that started in April and went into May. Um, they had a little bit of a surge in the middle portion of it, but at the end of the day, they're still in the bottom, not just of the division, but of the National League. And Babs, what is the problem with this Cardinals team?
I think it lacks leadership a little bit. I think Wayno is basically running the ship. But I guess it could also be Goldie too, because he did call that team meeting and they got all their grievances out and stuff like that. But it just seems like everyone's lost and the injuries are really, really piling up too again. And nobody can really stay healthy. And there's a new lineup every single day. There's no consistency. So I think that's another big reason why the Cardinals might be having their issues too, because nobody can get settled. I guess that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean that's one way. I also look at it. I mean, they have to get pitching because
Oh,
look.
yeah, for sure.
So going into next year, there's only two pitchers that are under contract. Miles Michaelis and Steven Matz. Now, to those two, only one of them is actually a half decent pitcher, and that's Miles Michaelis, who's been really good. Steven
Right.
Matz, this contract has been a complete bust. His tenure at the team has been a complete bust. It's just been terrible. Um,
And now I've
Meanwhile,
seen that they've put him in the bullpen and they're not even sure that he's going to be able to do that. So what happens if he can't pitch out of the bullpen and he can't be a starter? Does that mean they have to release him?
I mean, quite possibly. And the thing of it is, the young guys that they got in the farm system aren't ready for the majors. And one of the biggest, and Wainwright has been nothing but a disappointment since he made his season debut. Um, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, he was injured." Yeah, well, it was his choice to pitch in the World Baseball Classic, so things
Right.
happen. Um, Flaherty's not under contract next year. Montgomery's not under contract next year. When you lost Quintana heading into this season, that was a big loss for the team. He was a big reason the Cardinals made it to the playoffs last year.
Honestly, I see them extending Montgomery here shortly, possibly before the trade deadline. But I also see them going and getting pitching. And I'm sorry to say, but that means that either Carlson or O'Neill is gone.
You know, so I also think, yeah, first off, O'Neill is hanging on a very loose thread right now with the
Oh,
organization.
yeah.
It is
Yes.
not going well at all for him. And Jared chiming in with what he feels is one of the issues. Communication, finding their correct spots. I think there is a big lack of communication that the team faces. But I think it's also a mixture of who is truly the leader of the backbone of this team. Is it your 41-year-old injured pitcher, your star ace? And the good doctor himself says there's no interest in O'Neill. Him and Carlson will be gone. I had
Yeah.
predicted a big breakback or a comeback season, breakout year for O'Neal this year, and it's been nothing short of a disappointment. Carlson struggling to find his footing. The breakout star in the Cardinals is obviously Nolan Gorman, who's been fantastic. And now that All-Star vote,
Right.
and I really hope Gorman gets his nod at the All-Star game this year. But O'Neal and Carlson been disappointing. Newbar just recently got injured. It's just so many different things wrong. And I also think, um, you know, let's also talk about the front office and the coaching staff and how I don't feel they're on the same page right now. I
No,
mean,
I don't either. And
they're
actually Jordan Walker made some interesting comments today about that too. And now everybody's saying that he's going to be traded because he actually said something about it, that they were trying to change people's swings and they were just sitting people down in front of a computer and making them watch video. They're not even coaching them.
right. And, there's the whole issue about O'Neal being back on the IL, constantly. The whole thing with Contreras being moved to DH only. Um, then you have the demotion backfire of Jordan Walker. You have Liberatore's usage, the outfield issues. I mean, there's just so many things going wrong with this team right now, that they really gotta kick into high gear and figure out what to do because
I I knew that it was gonna be bad when Yachty left, but I didn't think it was gonna be like this, you know what I mean? Like, it was just
right.
like, as soon as he was gone, it was like, everything is just, "What do we do now?"
Yeah,
So,
and it's like, and with Steven Matz, I just have to say, the guy has a freaking 0-6 record, a 5.60 ERA, and a 1.698 whip rating. And this is the funny thing. John Mozeliak has never truly, really admitted failure. When something hasn't worked, he is not one to admit a defeat. And he's gotten to the point that he will use Steven Matz until it's the very end of his contract and do
yes.
basically what he's been doing with Paul DeJong since 2019, in an effort just to prove that this will work. Because Dexter Fowler, Jason Hayward, Marcelo Zuna, yeah, they all work too. We'll see how that turned out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And,
Um,
oh gosh, you just mentioned that, and I'm just like, why even oh, well, I guess we can say that DeYoung's a different case because he's actually hitting now. But it was really, really rough between then and getting him to this point, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh."
well, and what's funny? So, and these tie into each other. So Jared's saying how Tyler O'Neal's likely the first to get tossed. A lot of issues on the field, off the field with him this season. So we transitioned that into our dear friend Hollywood James Knox, who we're always thinking and loving. He says he guarantees a team will be out there that feels they can fix O'Neal. And it's true. There's always going to be a team that's going to take a player that's struggling and they say, hey, we can give him a shot. We can, he can be that bounce back for us. The Cardinals have been that many times in the past. And it just doesn't pay off sometimes. Now you look at, and yeah, I have no idea why Steven Matz is still on the team. Now this is the thing. I want to point out comments like this. You're never going to have Cardinal fans just boycott the franchise and stop going to the games these days. Like, it's just, that's not something that's going to happen. Now, I mean, if this
Because
was in
look
the
what happened with the A's. I mean, they stopped going and the MLB blamed them for the team. So,
exactly, and you already know that somehow the Cardinal fans will be getting blamed for any lack of improvements to the franchise because they stopped going to games. Um, And this is the thing. I like what Jared says here. He never accepts defeat, but the difference between him and I is I'd accept acceptability or responsibility. It reminds me of it was basically like a quote from Jurassic Park, um, where John Hammond was essentially saying, he does ask at least that people take accountability of their mistakes, you know, um, and that's what I think there's a lack of this team is accountability. When things go wrong, it's just a blame game, but it's never
Oh,
truly
for
like
sure.
we're gonna figure out how to fix it. Um, Another problem with the team, it's as simple as this: Jordan Walker. I mean, the debut was one of the biggest hype up debuts in years. Probably the biggest since Oscar Taveras, if not even before that. The difference is Jordan Walker decent had a historic start to his career, and then he fizzled out, and then they sent him down to the minor leagues. The problem with the Cardinals is that they're being too cute. They need to understand that you have a roster with a lot of talented players. You got a lot of guys in the organization that are very talented. You need to build yourself a 40-man roster that I know we're still a few weeks away from the All-Star break, but post All-Star break, you want that team to come out and contend. Because right now, you finished the month of May at 15-13, best record in the division, and yet you're still at 8 games under 500. I mean, and so it could have gone either way. They were not going to wait till August to debut Jordan Walker. It was either going to be opening day or next season. And all signs looked like he was going to do great this year. And he still started off really well, but there's, a lot of work in progress. So,
Well, to be fair, so is everybody else that being a work in progress too, because Nolan just started hitting and so did Goldie. So I mean it's not just, Jordan too. So everyone is a little bit to blame of how things are going right now.
yeah. And look, I'm just going to say it. Everybody has their opinions and this is not on a personal thing. This is just from the baseball mind perspective. I'm tired of the Cardinals not wanting to look outside of their organization for a manager.
I
I am
agree
tired of
totally.
it. Marmol, great guy, but is he really the guy that you can see being the long-term manager of the St. Louis Cardinals for maybe 10 or plus years and leading them to at least one World Series appearance, let alone a championship? I don't see it. I don't see that leadership. And, you know, having Matt Holliday and then not having Matt Holliday right before the season started didn't help the team. I just
Which
feel like
leaves
there's
me to question why that was, because I mean, I get that he wanted to hang out with his son, but obviously he wanted to be a coach too at some point. So what was the changing deciding factor of that? That's my question.
well, I mean, for years everybody felt that Jose Oquendo should have been the manager of the Cardinals, and he constantly kept getting passed up, whether it was by Matheny or Shield. It's like, or in every chance there was an interview, you know, they passed him up. And
Yeah.
let's see, um,
I wish they would have called Don Mattingly personally, but that's just because he's from my hometown and I think he's
yeah.
amazing. But yeah, as a non-Cardinals fan, I
So
love seeing the demise. This
here
is
we
what
go.
happens when you have the owners who want to be hands-on and aren't good baseball minds of a layman dunk.
Babs, I'll let you take the
Maybe.
reign. I'll let you take the reins on this one.
Well, okay. Let me put it to you like this. I I don't want them to crash and burn, but I knew that it was going to happen. I'm just saying, like, we all knew it was going to happen once Yachty left because we didn't prepare ourselves for a catcher. And then whenever we did get a catcher, he's not doing very well. So then we're going to blame him, and then we're going to try to make him an outfielder. And then the national media is going to pick that up and be like, what are they doing? And then, oh no, we can't do that now. So it's like, you see what I mean? It's all just like chaos. It's chaos. It's chaotic. That's exactly what it is. It's just all chaos and nobody knows what direction they want to go. And I think that's a big problem of it.
Yeah, you know, there's just so many glaring holes wrong with this team. And look, I'm going to just say it. I halfway agree with JM on this one. I don't think that Yachty was good offensively at the end of his career. I do feel he was still very good defensively. At the plate,
That
he
and he was
struggled, but
basically
behind the plate, and it's more so of just the, I guess, the leader, not even the leadership.
the
How do I word
presence.
this? The presence.
It's the
Yeah.
presence, yes, of him and yes, because you knew if Yachty said something that it was going to get done. Now that he's gone, now nobody's there to be like, hey, why are we doing this? You shouldn't be doing this. So,
Well, and that's the thing. Like, we don't know what's going to happen because there's no set direction. We don't know what's going on with this team. It's just a complete
I don't think they
mess.
do either.
Now,
honestly,
I will say Bader is currently on the injured list, but of course that is just, coincidence to the fact. I will say this. I would much rather have Jordan Montgomery on the Cardinals than Harrison Bader for the fact that he is a very good left-handed pitcher that the Cardinals desperately needed at the time. The problem with the Cardinals was when Bader was injured and they acquired him in the trade. They acquired Montgomery in the trade for Bader. Montgomery, along with Quintana, gave them the spark that they needed.
And I was really sad when they didn't re-sign him. But I guess he's not pitching till late August anyway, so I guess it really doesn't matter right now. But in hindsight,
if there was a way to have both Bader and Montgomery, that'd be even better. Because look,
really.
Because guess what? I do agree. The effort, Harrison Bader showed more effort than the majority of the players on the team. Harrison Bader is one of the hardest working players out there. But I just look at this team, and there's no excuse for them to be this bad. But at the same time, I wouldn't expect them to blow away the division lead, like to blow away in the lead.
And it's like, I know leadership, we can scream, there's no leadership and everything like that, but there's also no heart. It seems like everybody's just going through the motions, just going up there to get their at-bats, and then, oh, hey, we finally hit one. Let's see if we can do it again, and then nothing. So it's just like, I feel like everyone's just kind of, okay, do. You know what I mean? It's just like there's no excitement anymore.
No. And, yeah, the Cardinals did get new Bermuda grass on the on their field. And look,
Yay!
I think this
anyway, you were exactly right.
The Jared has the perfect thing right here. The heart of the team left once Yachty and Albert left. And even if Albert didn't come back, I would just say with Yachty. But the fact that Albert Pujols came back and they left at the same time, and the fact that it should have been Wainwright leaving at the same time with them, but that's neither here nor there. I also look at the fact, I look at the fact that, look, the Cardinals, there's still a lot of guys out on the free agent market. You still have a chance to trade for somebody. Go get some pitching. Get a good pitcher that you can truly get 7 innings out of on a consistent basis. because these 5-inning outings where you throw 110 pitches is not going to cut it. And I have one more thing I want to say as far as the Cardinals and their performance. Okay? I want to say this. You know, when you beat the teams that you're not expected to, it's great. But you have to beat the teams that you're expected to beat. And that's been one of the biggest problems the Cardinals have had this year. They struggled against the Guardians. They struggled against the Reds. They struggled against the Royals. Yeah, it was a 2-game series and they split. But let's be real. First off, the Royals nearly threw a perfect game against the Cardinals in the first one. And then in the second one, they only won by 1 run. And it was a 2-1 game. So the offense still didn't produce.
Yeah.
So, you know, the Cardinals they finished 15-13 in May. I think it was either Pittsburgh or Cincinnati who finished 6-18. So obviously some teams have done worse in the division, but the Cardinals are still at the basement of the National League. And like I said, like the title of the show is, it's almost summer. We're already heading into it. And time is a ticking. You know.
Hey, another positive for the Cardinals is at least we won the Gallegos trade because Luke Voigt was released by the Brewers yesterday. So I guess that's a thing.
Yeah, that is true. And the good doctor talks about us being basement dwellers. Well, it's not something that's happened often. It's been a long time since they finished last in the division. Yes, it does.
I'm sorry.
Speaking of quintessential basement dwellers, I want to present to you a couple Kansas City Royals players that definitely need to improve. Because let me tell you something. The Royals started off the season 7-21. So believe it or not, that's worse than what the Cardinals did. But I hate to say it, we do expect the Royals to be like that.
Sorry,
Meanwhile, guys like Michael Massey and Salvi, did fantastic in May. However, there are 3 notable players who did not, and one of them just absolutely blows my mind. Let me just say, first baseman Vinny Pasquantino. And, I mean, he hit 4 homers and 16 RBIs in the month of May. Still better than most players on that just mess of a roster. But he only had a 255 batting average, a 310 on-base percentage. And he has a 0.6 walk-to-strikeout ratio as well, which is the worst of his career. He's built up to be one of the future stars of the team. And in May, he showed some flashes of it. He's only 25 years old. He's a career 279 hitter, but there's a lot of work to go for the second-year guy. There's also guys in the pitching staff like Jordan Lyles who definitely have work that they need to improve on. And see, I like this. I like this take. The Cardinals and the Royals, this is where they differ. The Cardinals have a long developmental process. It's like one big giant warehouse factory where they pump out and process new talent, get them to the majors. Sometimes they're hits, sometimes they're misses. The Royals have no development. The guys that get to the majors are either going to be good or bad, but they have no chance to build into potentially being good. Bobby Witt Jr. is one of those rare exceptions. But for the rest of the Royals, I personally feel like they're getting in their own way by not being able to have a successful farm system. Some of the best teams in baseball are the ones that build through their own organization. That's why teams like the Yankees, who've been trading and signing stars for $100 million contracts haven't won a World Series since 2009. You know, now I also want to say, you take a look at we talked about how the Cardinals are in the basement of their division. Well, the Royals are also in the basement of theirs at 17-39. That is 6 games, I believe, or 5 games below the Chicago White Sox for second to last. They are 16 games out of the wild card. They have the second worst record in the American League, and the third worst record in or the second worst record in baseball. So yeah, that about sums it up as far as the baseball aspect of what's been going on in Missouri. But I want to bring up something Jared just brought up, and Babs, I know you've been wanting to talk about it. How about St. Louis City SC?
I mean, yes, they are doing amazing. Actually, I kind of wish that they were still undefeated, because that would be really, really awesome for the inaugural team to be undefeated. But we've only lost 2 or 3 games?
Well, I was going to say, right now, you take a look at the standings, and STLSC is 8. They've won 8. They've had 1 draw, and they've lost 4.
Okay. So it's a little bit more than what I thought.
But this is the thing. They lead the league or at least they lead the Western Conference in goals scored. And they only have allowed 14 goals, which I believe is 4th best in the conference. And they're second in the conference with 25 points, just 1 behind the Seattle Sound with 26 points. And meanwhile, I mean, they far exceeded any expectations.
Yes, they have. And my big thing is, where is the big toasted ravioli hats they were supposed to come out with? I'm still waiting on those.
I am too.
They got me all excited for toasted ravioli hats, and then they're like, nope, we're not going to do them now.
No, that really broke my soul. Not seeing the toasted Ravs hats. So, folks, once again, I want to thank you for tuning in to this is the last day of May, actually, May 31st, as we're heading into June. And
if I could backtrack a little bit, to the Cardinals for a second. So the Padres announced today that they are the first team to stray away from the Bally network. Right. And they are going to full-time MLB, and they're, going there. And so I was just wondering, because it seems like the Cardinals kind of do what everybody else is kind of doing. Do you think that they'll start doing that too? Because apparently the blackouts don't matter for the Padres anymore. Apparently you can watch the Padres anywhere you want to, as long as you, pay for your subscription. And apparently it's on I think they said 5 other streaming networks, like DirecTV Stream, Fubo. Is that something like one of those sports streamings? And so they officially did that today. So I was just kind of wondering, and it's kind of interesting to see that maybe the Cardinals might do that too, because I know that the Cardinals have a lot invested in Bally Sports, and I know that that's where their main payday is coming from. But I also know that business is business, and they're going to get their money somehow.
Yeah, I think the whole situation going on with Bally's and, their broadcasting rights across all of MLB, it's just one big cluster, and we're going to have to definitely keep tabs on what's going on with it. A lot of people have mixed opinions on the Cardinals broadcasts this season on television. Some really like Chip Carey, and Brad Thompson. Others just don't think it's the same as when Danny Mac was there. We all know how people feel about Jim Edmonds. You know,
I was just
it's a
getting
mixed
ready to
bag.
say that too. Yeah, and I was just getting ready to say that too. You were talking about, like problems with the Cardinals and stuff. And I know that he didn't have any on-field, what's the word I'm looking for? On-field
Controversies, I
uh
guess.
well, no, not controversy, but like um what, like, say you have like a say so over somebody, and then like he doesn't really have a say so of what happens on the field, but he really did have a lot of heart for the team too, and it is definitely felt in the broadcast, because they're not so, this is Cardinals baseball, now it's, oh well, welcome to Busch Stadium, this is blah blah blah, and they're going against so and so, and it's just like, I can definitely feel the Cardinals fans on that one, because it's definitely a different whole field, the whole season in itself. It's like we hit the reset button, and it wasn't a good reset. It was like a halfway did it. So
Exactly.
yeah, sorry for the rant, but I just,
No, you're
I don't
fine.
know.
So here's something
Just
interesting. We just got breaking news coming in. This is actually out of the world of professional wrestling. And Good Doctors confirmed it, but I've also found out that Tony Khan has announced on Dynamite that CM Punk will return at AEW's Collision pay-per-view.
and
Um,
that's Sunday, Saturday.
yes. Well, I'm sorry, it's not it's a television program, not a pay-per-view. That's my fault.
Oh,
But
he's going
uh
to the Saturday show.
yeah, it'll air. The premiere is June 17th, 2000,
Okay.
2023 at 8 p.m. Eastern time on TNT. And that'll be like the second weekly ugh, wrestling promotion program to air on TNT.
Oh
Because
yeah.
because Dynamite's on TBS, but Rampage is on TNT as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. So what do you think about CM Punk being back?
Eh, I have mixed feelings about CM Punk. I'll just sit here and smile and say, "Welcome back, CM Punk."
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So,
It
anyways, I
yeah,
know a lot of people love him, but I just can't stand the whole drama of it. It's just like, seriously, sometimes like, you wanted to go there, you knew what you were getting, just go wrestling. Shut you, you know what I mean? It's
no,
just
I
like,
definitely get it. I
yeah.
do.
So, well, on the other hand, if I can like switch gears for a second and tell Alexa Bliss, congratulations on the announcement of the birth of her first child with Ryan Cabrera.
Yep. They just announced that they are expecting their first child. So I believe, let's see. So Carmella
And
is expecting.
Carmela and Corey
Alexa
just announced that they
Bliss.
are having a baby boy.
Yep. So you got Carmella, Alexa Bliss, and Ty Conti,
Oh, yes.
and Sammy Guevara announced they're expecting their first child. So it's the season of babies here in professional
It's
wrestling.
in the water.
Everybody having kids. Yeah, what's in the water, folks? Everybody having some.
I
Um,
know, right?
and so I want to kind of continue for a second on this whole talk of professional wrestling for a second. Um, no, excuse me. So we recently um, crowned a new world heavyweight champion.
Mm.
And it was Seth Rollins defeating AJ Styles in the finals of the tournament. Um, and yeah, and this is the thing. CM Punk, I want a quick side note this. CM Punk draws. It's like Goldberg. Goldberg can't wrestle for a damn, but you can't tell me that you're not going to watch when Goldberg shows up. I hate to admit it, but it's true. You know, it's just the way it is. And
I'll
CM
admit
Punk,
I actually watched AEW the night that he showed up. So, I mean,
exactly.
it
I
must
did
be
too.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. And the difference
Yeah.
is CM Punk's actually a fantastic wrestler. So, I mean, and great on the mic. So, I remember him with MJF when they first met face to face in the ring, and the promos that those two had was just unbelievable. So, but anyway, what does it feel like now that we have once again two world heavyweight titles, if you will, in WWE? You have the World Heavyweight Championship, and then you got the WWE Championship, or I guess the WWE Universal Championship, which is now being held by which is still being held by Roman Reigns. We have JM who says that Seth is the right choice. I think so too. Seth Rollins is probably one of the most over wrestlers in WWE right now. And Seth Rollins
I
is to
agree.
me one of the wrestlers of the past 10 years, one of the best wrestlers of the past 10 years.
I agree with that, but I also think that they should put it on Dom here pretty soon because holy Toledo, the nuclear, not even just like regular heat, he would get nuclear heat if he got that title from Seth or just in general. I mean, just in general itself. And it would be so amazing because I don't think Seth Rollins needs that title per se. I mean, he's a great champion. He's a great pick, but he doesn't need a title to be over. I see a title or a championship more of a character booster. And Seth doesn't need that because I know he doesn't wrestle that much, but either did Roman for a while. I mean, seriously, Roman was doing matches with like 3 or 4 moves and it was over with. But I'm just saying, like, okay, going back to the first thought. I think that Seth didn't need the title. It's like that should have gone to not really Cody because Cody doesn't need a title either. But Brock would definitely be awesome for the title because then they could have people feuding with Brock. I know that Brock is like the CM Punk or the WWE version of CM Punk because he's so controversial sometimes. But yeah, I think that Seth didn't really need the title, and the titles are for character boosting, which he doesn't need because he's so over. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that
Right.
makes any sense to you.
Well, this is the reason I think that that Seth Rollins should be the first World Heavyweight Champion of the new reintroduction of it. Look, you need to have somebody that's credible. You could have had Damian Priest. That's another good one. You could have had Finn Balor. It would have been great for the sake of the Judgment Day. You could have had Cody Rhodes. You can't have a young star who hasn't really gotten to that point yet. Because this way, look, okay, let's just say for the sake of your argument, Dom became that champion. It just comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he's in a tournament for the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, where's that fit
I mean,
in?
it wouldn't make sense. I know it doesn't make any sense, but at the same time, it's like it would just be amazing to watch, just to see the fans lose their mind just for a little while, because he does get that heat, and it's like it comes naturally. He doesn't even need anything like that. So him having a title on top of it, oh my gosh, I could only imagine. And I
Right.
love Dom. I really do. Dom's actually like my second favorite wrestler right now.
I can't stand him. I mean, and yeah, I know
Oh
that's the
man.
point of it, and I know that's the point of a heel, but I can't stand Dominic Mysterio. It drives me up the freaking wall.
But yes,
Um,
Priest would have been a really good pick for that because it's like you said, he's not some young guy that's, just randomly thrown out there. At least they've had some sort of a scuffle. I guess that's the word I'm looking for with Seth and have a few run-ins, and it kind of makes sense with that.
and the
I don't
tag
see
team.
Finn being champion either.
Well, I think the main event of I think that The tag team match with AJ Styles and Seth Rollins versus the Judgment Day was a very good match. It was nice finally seeing an ending that doesn't involve a heel stable having good interference work in their favor. I know, see, and people, it's lazy booking when people say, oh, but it's because they're heels. No, if it's the same thing week after week, it's not because they're good heels, it's because it's lazy creative. Heels can win matches many different ways. And that's another reason I had a problem with how Roman Reigns beat Cody at WrestleMania. Look, if Roman, first off, I mean, look, I like AEW, but at the same time, they have a lot of repetitive formulas I do not like. But how many times have we seen for the Bloodline Solo Sikoa, or up until what's happened recently, the Usos interfering in the matches?
Yes.
And how repetitive has it gotten? Very. Even if it's the best storytelling in years, at some point, you got to say, how can Roman Reigns do this if he's not the one doing it all himself? So, and I think that's where it's all coming to. But yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I honestly think that at Night of Champions, that pay-per-view ended exactly how it should have.
Yeah, I agree. Night of Champions. Look, the way the past few Royal Rumbles, or not past Royal Rumble, the past few pay-per-views have ended, which included the Royal Rumble, has been fantastic. You had Zayn turning on Reigns. You had, look, say what we want about Cody not winning the title, but the main event was nothing short of fantastic.
Oh yeah, I agree.
The match was fantastic. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens coming in, Sami getting his shots in. I mean, look, it was perfect. Everything was perfect to me except for the fact that Cody didn't win the title. Because now you've kicked him all the way back down and he has to climb back up. Babs, I want your take on this. So JM says Roman is a top 5 champion of all time.
Of all time?
I mean,
maybe
we're talking
top 10.
Ooh,
maybe
does
top
not
10.
Like that.
Well, my gosh, I wouldn't even know who my top pick for champion would be. I would think that it would probably be somebody like Hogan, probably, because Hogan's iconic.
You got Austin, you got The Rock, you got Triple H, you got Cena, you got Taker, you got Orton. And then you have to go back to your Shawn Michaels, your Bret Harts, your Bruno Sammartinos.
See, you just mentioned like 10 people before Roman right there.
Exactly. All these guys, I think, are better champions because this is the thing. Being a great champion isn't just about being a great wrestler. Everybody that knows wrestling can tell you, hell, freaking Ric Flair. I mean, come on.
Right.
To me,
or John Cena.
Or if you want to, I mean.
Okay, let's not push it on that one. But I was just mentioning for like numbers of times. I'm just letting that known right now.
Yeah. And you know what? Okay. But the thing with The Undertaker, so obviously we got the Good Doctor and Jared having their interesting bickering in the comments. Folks, please keep on commenting. We're going to make sure to get as many comments on the air as possible. JM says Taker's never been remembered for holding a title. Well, Jared says his title reigns were great. Here's another great one for you. Edge. And you know what's interesting? Here's somebody who didn't have great championship reigns, but it's because of him holding a championship that changed wrestling forever. Mick Foley. Mick Foley did not have a lot of long championship reigns, but when he held them, they were memorable. Hulk Hogan couldn't wrestle that well. I'll go on record. When we're talking about actual good wrestling, Hulk Hogan was not a great wrestler, but he was a fantastic entertainer. He's arguably, look, you could argue that Hulk Hogan is arguably the biggest star in professional wrestling history. And if you told me that, I wouldn't disagree because he was becoming a top star at the right time. WrestleMania. See, this is the thing. Hulk Hogan is the godfather of pro wrestling. You say that, I'm not going to fully disagree with it. Because back then it also wasn't about everybody being able to put on the type of technical skilled matches. Look, we all know Hogan versus Andre is one of the greatest matches of all time.
Yeah.
And from the standpoint of entertainment scale, from wrestling, it's one of the worst matches of all time. But everybody remembers it. And I agree with Jared on this. Ric Flair is to me, look, I know Luthez, you have all the guys from the olden days too. Ric Flair, to me, is the greatest professional wrestler of all time, and I will die on that platform. I've always thought it. I will always think it, that Ric Flair is the greatest professional wrestler of all time.
I'll say him and Mr. Perfect are kind of on
Mr. Perfect was
the
fantastic.
same kind of thing.
Hulk Hogan is more known than Flair. Ooh.
I think they're about the same. They're probably on the same spectrum because they're both known for different things. I guess that's how I'm trying to say that.
Ric Flair is, okay, Hogan and Flair are both icons of just athletes. Like, Ric Flair is more than just a professional wrestler, and so is Hulk Hogan. The difference is Ric Flair didn't star in crappy 90s movies. But that's beside the point. Mr. Nanny, anybody?
Hey, that was a great movie. Don't you dare.
Oh, God. Okay.
I'm going to get kicked off, guys. I'll see you later.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Jam says, would Flair and Andre be a big deal at Mania 3? No. I agree it wouldn't be, but it's how it was built back then. Like, Ric Flair, Jared's like doing the speaking for me. He's literally saying what I'm thinking. Ric Flair was more than the character. He changed his real name, for God's sake.
I mean, you have that.
Hulk Hogan have that. Like, Ric Flair literally, and for better or worse, Ric Flair has lived the life of Ric Flair. For better or worse, he's done everything that he said he would do in those promos. So I look at if Roman Reigns is a top 5 champion of all time, and I don't see it. Do I think Roman Reigns is one of the top champions of the past 20 years? Absolutely. The problem is...
Well, I'll be devil's advocate right now because Roman might be a good champion, and he might have held the championship for 1,000 days now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because nobody else is good enough. I mean, it's not that they're not good enough. You know what I mean. I'm not saying that everybody's
there's a couple. I mean, no, I get it.
I just don't think there's anybody that's that wow factor.
To me, there's only one guy that I feel is truly capable of holding the WWE Universal Championship right now, and it would make such a boost for his career. And he's currently the Intercontinental Champion, and that's Gunther.
Oh yes, please.
I want to see.
So fangirl to that.
Believe it or not, I want to see it. I want to see a title versus title match. I want to see Gunther versus Roman Reigns for the title. I think it'd be fantastic. Gunther literally lasted over an hour and 10 minutes in the Royal Rumble this year. I mean, and here's something. Yeah, it's rumored that Gunther would face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40. That's a huge main event, in my opinion.
Now, are we talking for a title or just for?
I think for the title. For the title. I don't think you can do that.
Intercontinental title.
You could. I think Gunther's brought back the prestige that the Miz and Gunther are the two reasons the Intercontinental Championship still has merit.
I agree. And Miz is very underrated, and that's very sad.
And look, this is what's going to happen. the only one of the only people that this I look at what happened to guys like The Rock, to Cena, to Hogan. Eventually, when you're champion for so many times and for such a long time, Hollywood comes to calling, and that's going to happen to Roman Reigns probably in the next few years. And which is another reason why having Seth Rollins as World Heavyweight Champion is perfect. So, that's how I look at it. So that's how I feel about the situation.
And I like that the fact that that Riddle is actually getting pushed into maybe a more serious role, because I knew Riddle before he was even in WWE, and what he does in WWE is about half of what his character is. And he is such a good wrestler, and they don't let him do much of anything to what they like he did on the indies. And I think the Riddle could actually make the Intercontinental Championship something too. It would be different.
Yeah.
Because you don't necessarily see those guys with those kind of championships. You know what I mean? The 24/7 championship all day long. But it would just be kind of nice to see something. Yeah.
Get that out of here. Get the 24/7 championship crap out of here. But
it was a cool idea at first. And then it just turned into chaos. Now, whenever he comes back from injury, I know this name has been thrown out so many times for a championship run, and I feel like he totally deserves it because he's been so loyal. But R-Truth. I'm being serious. I am totally being serious right now. I am totally being serious right now. Like, he's been loyal. He's very, very funny.
I love
that 24/7 title. He made the 24/7 title watchable. So it's just like, yeah, I would trust him. I would trust him with either the Intercontinental title or maybe something like, But
I at the same time, R-Truth doesn't even know what pay-per-view he's on. He'll show up to Money in the Bank and he thinks it's SummerSlam. No, I'm kidding.
That's the greatest thing, though.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best, most memorable characters over the past, in the modern, like since 2000. It's just, he's definitely always been entertaining.
Or him and Little Jimmy can go after the tag team titles again.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Okay, so one last question I have for you before we wrap it up tonight, Babs. Okay, and it ties into what Jared just said here. Is Austin Theory the next big thing in WWE? And I don't mean like Brock Lesnar next week. I just mean, is Austin Theory, he beat John Cena at WrestleMania, which is supposed to be a huge thing. It wasn't really made to be much afterwards. But is Austin Theory going to be, and we'll say for a time span of anywhere from 3 to 5 years, is Austin Theory going to be a world champion?
That's kind of funny that you said that, because I haven't really been paying attention to him like now that he's won the championship that he's got or that he had or something like that. I haven't been paying attention. But whenever I first started watching him, I was like, wow, he kind of reminds me of Ruthless Aggression Cena. And I'm like, well, look what happened to Ruthless Aggression Cena. And I mean, I would see how things go within the next 2 or 3 years, but I wouldn't do it like right now. But I would see if, he could become more of that thing, because the only thing that's holding him back is his height.
Yeah.
I honestly do. I think the only thing that holds him back is his height, because he's got the look. He's so built, and he's got, the mic skills for it. I just think that his height has something to do with it. But I mean, if Rey Mysterio could be champion.
Look, people are going to hate me for saying it, but if Eddie Guerrero didn't pass away, Rey Mysterio would not have been the champion.
Oh, I know. Saying. Oh, I know that. And I think everybody else knows that too. But I'm just saying, if they can make Rey champion, they can make Austin Theory champion too, in theory. No pun intended.
No pun intended, right. So I mean, and it's true, and look at the Miz. Miz isn't that super big of a guy either, and he main evented WrestleMania and won the world championship.
And
So,
he did amazing with it too. And he was only like champion for what, one week or 1 month?
but yeah, and that wasn't a long reign.
Yeah,
Um,
no, but he was amazing. I love The Miz, and actually, I love Baron Corbin too. And I wish that they would do something fabulous with him. I wish that they would bring back his old gimmick
yeah,
because now
Austin,
he's on NXT.
right, and yeah, you're right, Jared. The Miz doesn't get enough credit for what he's done in wrestling. Um, it's amazing. I just remember when he was the host of SmackDown, always in the crowd doing promos and stuff. And now here he is, arguably one of the biggest stars of all time, which is crazy to think about, at least for the sake of WWE. Definite Hall of Famer, if that means anything in professional wrestling. And no, Dolph Ziggler doesn't get enough credit either.
Oh,
Um,
Dolph, I forget that he's even with the company still sometimes,
I
even though
don't
I saw him
because
last night.
well, I was gonna say I should say I do, but I don't because I see Dolph Ziggler wrestling these essentially these squash matches. I do have one final thought, and then I know we're gonna wrap it up this week here on Roundabout Sports. I have to say, shout out to Shinsuke Nakamura getting a win on Monday night.
Yes.
I was very happy about that. I actually did not think he would beat Bronson Reed for the Money in the Bank qualifying match. I am very happy that he did. I think his career really stagnated after he lost to Styles at WrestleMania,
Mhm.
which he had no business losing that match. But no, I think it was a fantastic, match all around between him and Reed. I'm excited to see who else. Yeah, and see, I like this is what I was thinking as well. I see Nakamura getting a push, but I don't know if LA Knight will be the one. Um,
I love
eh,
LA Knight. Oh my gosh.
I like
Yeah.
this. Bronson is a star, but we know he's
So
not
great.
climbing a ladder. Otis climbed a ladder. Big Show's climbed a ladder. I mean, and yeah, LA Knight's been getting so much love by the analysts and those that are tuning in every week. And it's great. It is great to see guys like him and Austin Theory are going to be a big part of WWE in the future.
Yes. And he
So
really did get screwed at WrestleMania since they didn't do that match with what was he even supposed to do with Bray, wasn't it? Or
yeah,
did that like kind of just fizzle?
yeah, I just kind of all fizzled out. Well, folks, it's about that time here at Roundabout Sports. We're gonna wrap it up this week. Another episode. I want to thank Babs so much for being on as always. Before we go, as always, we put on the NAMI hotline. It is for those that are tuning in on Spotify or Breaker or Google Podcasts. You can call the NAMI hotline at 1-800-950-NAMI. That is 1-800-950 NAMI. It's the largest grassroots campaign of advocacy of mental illness in the country. And also, we always put up the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, which is dialing 988. It's open 24/7, 365, 366 on leap years. Understand you're never alone in the world. There's always somebody out there that wants to be those listening ears, and that could be you as well. The help is just a phone call or a text message away. Just know we're all here in this world together. So thank you all so much for tuning in this week. She is Babs. I'm the maestro, Jeremy Karp. And remember, life is a book full of empty pages just waiting to be written in. Make your lives worth reading.